There's a big difference between a disagreement and unhealthy conflict. Disagreements or differences of opinion are normal and they happen all the time in our relationships. In fact, they're healthy, they're strengthening because they allow you to expand your understanding of things and come up with better outcomes and more creative solutions. In fact, the best teams and organizations actually promote a diversity of opinions, knowing that they make the organization stronger. None of us is smarter than all of us. You're going to make better decisions if you can get a greater variety of points of view on the table. And this is true in organizations, but also in your personal relationships. So bring on the difference of opinion. The problem occurs when you don't know how to handle these differences of opinion, or when the individuals involved become so rigid in their point of view that the conversation stops and the relationship turns to win-lose or lose-win, depending upon your point of view. If you have a win-lose mindset, you view relationships as competitive with winners and losers. You focus on your own interest rather than others' interest. You seek what is best for you and assume that others will do the same. Furthermore, you use whatever means you have, formal power, position, credentials, personality, to win in your negotiations. You impose your win upon others, and you may get what you want, but oftentimes at a long-term cost of resentment and ill will from other people around you. The lose-win mindset is also competitive with winners and losers. However, rather than an active controlling stance, you accommodate, you give in to the wishes of those whom you perceive as more powerful, or you're wanting to avoid conflict or wanting to avoid disapproval. You want to engender goodwill and trust, so you may back off of your own convictions, or you might lack the courage to stand up for your feelings and convictions, and so become more easily controlled or intimidated by others. From the outside, you may appear to be a collaborator and peacemaker, but you may pay a high price in anger and depression, feelings of ineffectuality, failing to get what you desire. Well, win-lose and lose-win confrontations are destructive to personal relationships and organizations. They poison our interpersonal relations and also organizational effectiveness. When one person or department wins at the expense of another, the person or department that loses find ways to retaliate and even the score, which creates a cycle in which win-lose and lose-win eventually become lose-lose for both parties. When engaged in lose-lose interactions, you try to get back or destroy each other. You become obsessed with the behavior of people whom you consider to be enemies, and you do all in your power to make them miserable. You lack strength of conviction and inner direction, believing that if you're going to be miserable, others should be as well. Unhealthy conflict or win-lose and lose-win interactions create deadlocks, destroy goodwill, provoke defensiveness, anger, blame, resentment. So it's really important to learn to manage everyday differences so that they don't move into unhealthy conflict and these destructive win-lose or eventually lose-lose interactions. So here are some warning signs or the symptoms of win-lose relationships. Low trust, unfriendly climate, there's a sense of stress and tension, defensiveness, competitive, divergent interests, reactive individuals. In this kind of climate, it's easy to cross over from disagreement to unhealthy conflict, which occurs when those involved in a disagreement are no longer willing to consider others' views, and thereby they set up a win-lose confrontation. Let's look at this chart. As you can see, disagreements are an everyday occurrence, as I said a moment ago. They include honest differences of opinion, conflicting needs and priority, different perspectives, mismatched goals, and so on. It's when you fail to manage these differences that you run the risk of crossing over into the area of unhealthy conflict. Once you cross over, it becomes significantly difficult to manage the situation. Emotions have increased, issues are personalized, positions solidified, logic departs, objectivity is lost, ego gets in the way, and winning becomes almost everything. In the next lecture, I'm going to talk about phases through which conflicts escalate until they're unmanageable. In the meantime, I want you to take just a moment and identify 3 relationships in which you're either experiencing full-blown conflict, I should say, or disagreement that you're concerned could escalate into more serious conflict. Take a moment, write these down in the exercise that I'm giving you here.